Ciao a tutti da JGR Studios, il nostro canale dedicato alle lezioni, recensioni e tutorial sull'audio recording. Vi ricordo che i nostri corsi ufficiali presonus studioone ed acustica audio sugli altri software e sulle tecniche di audio mix e mastering sono disponibili sul sito www.proaudiolearning.com. Non dimenticate di iscrivervi cliccando sul pulsante sotto a destra e di attivare la campanella per ricevere notifiche dei nuovi video caricati. With this video I inaugurate a series of more self-celebrating tutorials. So many have been the requests regarding my studio work on both current and past projects. These are tutorials that I have already done in my workshops, but not here in my channel. There are several reasons for that. One reason is clearly the copyright, which automatically makes the video not monetizable. So it's essential that you put a thumb up and subscribe to the channel. That may you at least help me. The second reason is the permission to use certain kind of material. In some cases, I have not been able to get it, such as in the case of soundtracks played, for example, by London Symphony, which does not grant out of contract use for that has been recorded. But those kind of videos will still only be available within my mix and mastering courses. So has not to go right through the YouTube shares. In this first appointment, we are going to talk about arranging the mix and mastering of some of the tracks that are within the movie Lamborghini, the man behind the legend, that is on Amazon Prime these days, and I have been working on for the past few months. The film is directed by Bobby Moresco and stars by Frank Grillo and many others. In this film, I was responsible for the treatment, mixing and mastering of the songs. So, not the writing of the commentary music contained in the movie. Especially, it was necessary to restore, clean and make usable songs from 40s, 50s and 60s that had been recovered from vinyls because in the most cases the master was lost in the meshes of the time. I will show you how I worked in the restoration phase, and now in two songs in particular, Quando and I sorrisi di sera by Tony Renis, I rewrote and recorded new parts not performed at the time of the original recording. This was to make them more live and justifiable within the film. Quando underwent a remastering process that was not too invasive since we had the master on tape. While for I sorrisi di sera we performed more delicate and invasive interventions. Before we start, I have to thank Tony Renis, who involved me in this work, Ilbe and Andrea Iervolino, the producer of the movie, for the use of the scenes you will see. All through many I have to cut to always to YouTube, which unfortunately does not have the broadcast permission worldwide. As I said before, it's complicated to do this kind of tutorial because of the many companies involved in the rights management. In any case, the video is not monetized because the song belongs to their respective authors and publishers. I hope that in the meantime some other legal complication does not pop up, then deletes the video. I want to also always remind everyone that this video is not sponsored in any way by any of the products you see used. So let's cut to the chase. If you haven't signed up, please do so. And let's get right down to getting our hands on the project and rather the studioone projects I used for this work. Let's jump into the arrangement. So let's take a look about all the process that I've done. So the first step was to sample the LP because, as I told you before, the master was lost. I've done also an iPad sketch with all the steps how to follow. It's just for the reference, but it's my way of thinking and way of work. I love to write all the things that I have to do, especially when you are interrupted from someone and you have to restart the work again. And in this video I'm going to reveal the exactly techniques that I have used to restore the song. Let's start to listen the original track from the LP with all the artifacts inside, so clicking, noises, S's, etc. Let's have a look.
Forse i sorrisi di sera hanno una luce più vera, non so, ma certo che sei più bella che mai, più dolce, più cara stasera.
As you can listen, there are a lot of noises, especially in the upper frequencies. I'm talking about S's. This has happened because the LP status was not so good, but the songs were so rare, so it was not easy to find a good shape LP. I brought a lot of versions on eBay, a lot of LP, just to have the best one. And also I got the LP from Tony, of course. But I was looking for the mint conditions. This was the result of the best one. What you see in the arrangement is the original song and the edit version, because we were thinking about the more longer version of the song with the different part. We will see that in the arrangement part. But now we'll concentrate on the restoring. The first process was to clean the song with the clicking and the noises process. In this case I've used Isotope RX, and I've used Isotope also to extract the vocal part and bass track. This is easy to do with Isotope. And here we have the vocal extraction. Let's listen it.
Forse i sorrisi di sera hanno una luce più vera, non so.
As you can listen, it's more focused on the vocal, so I can work a lot more easily on the vocal part. And in the end, put on top of the songs restored. This helped me to have a more control on vocal volumes inside the track. Let's have a look now what I normally do for this kind of old songs. So you can listen, I have found another version of the song here, more clean but with a different problems. I think this is an LP with some engineering trick at the time. We are talking in the 60s. The song was obviously monophonic, but someone tried to create a stereo version, maybe adding effects, but adding phase problems. Let's have a look.
Forse i sorrisi di sera hanno una luce più vera, non so.
When we work on these kind of things, we have to be very careful because the song is old and we don't want to lose the original vibe of the song. Let's go now into process that I have applied thanks to studioone. This is a feature that I really love inside this DAW. So recreate a mid-side matrix directly inside a track. This is a stereo version that I have got.
Forse i sorrisi di sera.
This is the song processed with the clicking, the noising, the essing, all the restoring process, and this is the result. And also I have a mix down here in mono.
Forse i sorrisi di sera.
This is an experiment. I have tried to manipulate the mono and the stereo signal before making a mid-side matrix, but was not right and the results was not very good. So I have decided to use the stereo track and apply a mid-side version of the tracks. So I have doubled the stereo track, and I've used a complex matrix inside the track to create a mid and the same to create a side. Let's have a look inside the process. As I said, this is an amazing trick inside studioone. Let's see how to create a mid-side matrix. First of all, we need two mix tools. So one mix tool in the upper side with the MS transform. This transform the stereo track in mid-side process, and we have the mid on the right and the side on the left of the speakers. Then I add a splitter. Splitter helps everyone to split the signal. In this case, we have three functions: normal, split channels, or split frequencies. In this case, I've used channel. So now I have the left and the side, where is the mid in this part and side in the other part. All the process in this track is about the side. I have added 5 channel just to have a control of the dynamics, 3 and Pro Q3 just to using the LLC function. This helps us to cut low frequencies without ruining the phase of the track. This is used to cut the lows in the side part of the signal and left the bass play on the mid. This is also a technique used in the LP production. Let's back to the routing, and we will see the signal back in the second mix tool with MS transform. This will retransform the signal in stereo. And then I have applied a de-esser, in this case vice de-esser. This is one of the best de-essers for restoring and stereo tracks. The same was applied to the mid, and as we will see, the process is inverted. The fat channel, in this case, add more punch on bass frequencies, a gently touch on mid, and very careful just half dB on the high frequencies. This is the frequencies where the S lives. I prefer to use fat comp to control the mid frequencies. This because this kind of compressor have an special flavor, harmonic distortion on mid frequencies. This is why I have compensated a little with the EQ. Rest of the routing as before, going to the mix tool to obtain another MS transform, in this case to stereo transformation, then going into the esser, then going into another EQ, in this case fab filter EQ, to have a dynamic control in 3 different frequencies: low mid, mid and high mid. Let's have a look at the result.
Forse i sorrisi di sera hanno una luce più vera, non so, ma certo che sei più bella che mai.
Sometimes we can also use the vocal track, the single vocal track extracted, to cancel in a better way the vocal inside the track, maybe using the vocal track with a mix tool and phase inversion. This helps us to lower the voice inside the track. We have to be very careful with this kind of thing because it creates a lot of phase issues. But after all the attempts, I've decided to use the matrix that I showed you before. Both tracks go inside another track in the master bus called MS2. This one, where I've used 3 third-party plugins, very well managed by the studioone 6 engine. I'm talking about acoustic audio. Everyone knows the weight of this kind of plugins. But studioone in combination with the new M1 processor, the Apple M1, it works very nicely. Let's have a look. I've used in this case a vintage emulation of the Fairchild in mid-side mode, thanks to lateral vertical option, just to have a different compression on the mid-side. And also my favorite one is the ultramarine another Fairchild emulation, very, very rare, but amazing. It's a Pultec style EQ, but much more interesting about a more harmonic distortion adding. And in the final part, Soothe 2, just to have an extra correction on the S part of the song. Let's have a look what we have done.
Sei sorrisi di sera hanno una luce più vera, non so.
As you can see, I've added also a little reverb on the song, just to have a real stereo image of a live version, because this track goes to the film where Tony Rennies play live. I add an extra room on the song. In this case, I've used FabFilter Pro R, but in other case, I've used so much the StudioOne Open Air with the extra convolution libraries. This is amazing. This is really, really amazing. There are differences from the algorithm reverbs and IR kind of reverbs. I will do another video about that because it's really interesting in export of the song. After that, we going to the master, where is the Vice DS1, just to have a limit in mid-side mode. Another Soothe, just to have a balance in the final results. And in the end, device digital maximizer. Use it with the wide option just to have an extra stereo image. As you can see, the work was very complex and I did a lot of attempts. We started from this to this.
Sei sorrisi di sera hanno una luce più vera, non so, ma certo che sei più bella che mai, più dolce, più cara stasera. Forse questa luce diffusa.
So now let's take a look at the arrangement changes. Tony asked me to change completely the arrangement of the song, make a song much longer for the movie shot. So we have almost double the time of the song. But he also asked me to remove some part, especially a part that he don't like it anymore, and add an extra intro and outro with the style and the sound of the original track. So we had to manipulate the track more to have a completely new arrangement with new instruments before arrive to the final version of the song that you can listen in the movie. Let's go to another song that I have done. If you see, I've done a lot of changes here. So we started to manipulate the duration of the song. In here, in the part of the arrangement, we have a final mix, but was not final, of course, where we decide the parts. So I've written the horns using Contact before going to the studio and record the real horns, just to have an idea how to complete the song. Let's have a look now on the mockup. So we have new intro.
Sei sorrisi
After writing the part in MIDI, I used to transform the track in audio, just to have a more control on the dynamic, especially using this amazing feature called gain envelope. Inside the track, I can change the volume of a single note just to have a more expression. So finally, it's not sound so much MIDI. This is a completely new intro. Another thing that I have to pay attention was to use Melodyne. In this case, studioone is the best on using Melodyne directly on the track. This because after designing and transforming in audio, just enough to have to back and work again on a MIDI, Tony liked to have the control of the single notes inside the phrases. So we use studioone to test different voicings and different chords, then finally arrive to the final version of the arrangements. After that, I've written the parts, and real horns and real strings were recorded in the studio. Let's have a look inside the part, because we had more extra horns in the song.
Forse questa luce diffusa trasforma tutte le cose, non so, ma sento che c'è qualcosa in me, mi sto innamorando di te.
This was fun because the solo part was not present in the original song. So I took an instrumental version from the isotope extractions just to have a vibe where to build the new parts on the song. As you can see, the song here is cut. So I have to replay the instruments inside this part. This is what I was talking before in the intro video, where I explained that we played the new guitars, new piano, new drums, etc. This is a mock-up, of course. We will listen the final version in the end of the video. Then we will be back in the song.
Ma certo che sei più bella che mai, più dolce, più cara stasera. Forse questa luce diffusa, ma sento che c'è qualcosa in me, mi sto innamorando di te. Forse i sorrisi di sera, forse quest'aria leggera, non so, ma certo che sei.
Then we will go in another part that was not present in the original version of the song. This is the ending part, where we have an extra harmony and solos.
Che mai mi sto innamorando di te.
This is a fade out programming for the movie. Finally, we had a mock-up version where we'll record all the new parts. Let's jump now in the second song where all the parts are originally replayed and restored just to have and obtain the final version of the song. For director reasons, we cut the intros just to have immediately the song because a young Tony Rennis was speaking about Ferruccio Lamborghini. But now we will listen the song on the film directly without the dialogue. I have to thank many people, especially Tony Rennis and Andrea Iervolino, together with Ilbe, then helped me to have the original cut just to show you in this video. So the permission was given by Ilbe, especially for this tutorial. Then take a look at the song directly on the cut without the dialogue. Let's play.
Forse i sorrisi di sera hanno una luce più vera, non so, ma certo che sei più bella che mai, più dolce, più cara stasera. Forse questa luce diffusa trasforma tutte le cose, non so, ma sento che c'è qualcosa in me, mi sto innamorando di te. Ma certo che sei più bella che mai, più dolce, più cara stasera. Forse questa luce diffusa trasforma tutte le cose, non so, ma sento che c'è qualcosa in me, mi sto innamorando di te. Forse i sorrisi di sera, forse quest'aria leggera, non so, ma certo che sei più bella che mai, mi sto innamorando di te.
As you can see, for the director reason, we have to create a much longer song. Let's see something about the mixing. Trumpet, trombones, strings, etc. For this final version, we decided to not use the strings. As you can see, all the strings are muted, just to have a more 60s vibe than the very, very modern one. As you can see, just the violins remained, and all the other parts was muted. But we recorded everything just to have a complete score of the song. For the initial part of the movie, the song Quando 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 was gently remastered, and if someone wants to see how to proceed to remaster this iconic song, I will do another video. For now, just have a look at the very edit of the song for the movie. It's very, very short, of course, but we had to accommodate the second part. For movie reasons, of course, is an edit version of Quando Quando Quando, but it's cutted personally by Tony Rennis. Let's look at the song.
Ladies and gentlemen, our special guest of honor, the one and only Tony Rennis.
Dimmi quando tu verrai, dimmi quando, l'anno, il giorno e l'ora in cui forse tu mi bacerai. Se vuoi dirmi di sì, devi dirlo perché non ha senso per me la mia vita senza te. Dimmi quando tu verrai, dimmi quando, e baciando mi dirai non ci lasceremo mai.
So there are a lot of other songs inside the movie they have restored from the original master or from the original sampling. And those are taken from the 50s, 60s and 70s time. In this session I have also used my outboard. As explained it before, I love to use the Pipeline XT, especially to connect my hardware, in this case the Maslach MLA2, into the master of the song. And not in this case particularly, but in a lot of other works I've used external Sami mixer or sometimes the mix effects that I really love inside the studioone. As you can see, it was very, very easy to restore, edit, arrange, re-edit, and in a continuous work before going in the end of the song. Everything was very easy, flexible and super faster. Spero che questa lezione vi sia stata utile. Vi aspetto ai miei seminari, al corso professionale presso il mio studio e nei corsi online sul sito www.proaudiolearning.com. Affronteremo i vostri mix insieme e li finalizzeremo nelle fasi di mastering. Per gli iscritti ai corsi sono disponibili inoltre plugin e librerie gratuite, oltre ai nuovi video esclusivi ogni mese. Continuate a seguirmi su Facebook, YouTube e Music Off. Non dimenticate inoltre di supportare queste lezioni gratuite attraverso il canale Patreon che trovate in descrizione. Se il video vi è piaciuto, cliccate subscribe e attivate la campanella, questo mi aiuta a far crescere il canale. Per il momento è tutto, ciao, a presto!